in the city, your hostess with the mostest.
And it's JV Jones.
Look, guys, we have a really hot, important topic we're talking about. We are talking about Scared Straight. Is World War III closer than we think? We have an amazing special guest on, Malik Shabazz, Black Lawyers for Justice. Oh my goodness, sir, we thank you so much. You've really took us to school and given us a lot of what we needed. We thank you for taking your busy time to speak with us. We really appreciate you, sir. And we have some other guests on the line that want to speak. JV had a question for Mr. Shabazz?
The question that I have, and I'm sure a lot of Americans probably have this same question. Why are we trying to go to war with North Korea? Like, what's the point? Like really? I mean, what's the point that they want us, and what's the point that we want them? I don't understand.
All right. Well, this situation has been brewing for a long time. It goes back to World War II and the end of World War II. Before World War II ended, Japan had occupied Korea, and the Japanese were dominating Asia and saying that they were going to put the white man out of Asia, the British out of Hong Kong and Singapore and America, and that they wanted the yellow man to rule Asia, and the Japanese said he's the master of the yellow man. And so he took over China and Korea, and the Japanese committed some atrocities there. At the end of the war, when Japan was defeated by nuclear weapons first being used by America on the Japanese people, then the Soviet Union and took over the North Korea, and America occupied South Korea. And then the Soviet Union withdrew, and it was the North Koreans and the South Koreans and the Americas inside Korea. In 1949, the war broke out between the North and the South, and the North gained the upper hand and almost defeated America. And then America fought back and almost defeated the North until the Chinese intervened. And the Chinese, by the millions, came across the North up what's called the Yalu River. And there was so many Chinese troops that it drove all the Americans back. And a lot of people were killed, and it created a stalemate. And they virtually ended up back at the same side called the Demilitarized Zone, or the DMZ, North Korea and South Korea. And the war ended in a virtual tie. But North Korea was mad. North Korea was pissed off because during the war, America, with its superior air power and bombing capability, bombed North Korea back to the Stone Ages. They bombed so much of North Korea and Pyongyang, the capital. They bombed so much of North Korea and bombed them so heavy that the North Koreans hated America. They hated them because they had made their lives so miserable, and they swore if they ever got power again, that they was going to build them a military that would defend them against the awesome American military power and against American air power. Okay? And so, but believe it or not, the North Korean does not hate the South Korean, but the white man wants the North Korean to be against the South Korean. But if you talk to the South Korean and the North Korean, both of them will say, we are brothers and sisters, and we need to sit down at the negotiating table and work it out. But America and England do not, probably not England, but America does not want the two sides to sit down because America wants to have her foothold in the Pacific. She wants Japan to be her boy, and she wants to be in Guam and Okinawa, and she wants to be the boss over there too.
Yes.
And she don't want the two to get together, just as Yaqub and his followers went back to Mecca and they started dividing the original people, because the pattern of the white man is to keep the original people divided through the policy of divide and conquer, divide and rule, so the white man can rule. But we say that at least the North Korean and the South Korean, as brother and sister, should sit down at the negotiating table to see if they can work out the formulation of what? One nation. At any rate, that's some background to the conflict.
Okay.
Right.
North Korea talks a lot. They talk a big game. They talk about what they're going to do and so forth. And sometimes I don't always agree with all that big talk that they be talking. But I would say that impressive. Their military is impressive. Their ground forces are impressive. Their nuclear capacity has become impressive, and they're nobody's punks. And now somebody has been risen up. Somebody has been risen up in the scene that's not gonna punk just because America stay boo. You know, and so we have to say that these are some strong people. They are some strong people, not to fear the awesome might of America.
And they have old wounds.
Exactly.
And they have old wounds. They're mad. They're pissed off.
Okay.
And they know. And Steve, as a background, you got remember what I said, that there were tactical nuclear weapons by the United States up until 1991. The leaders of North Korea, Kim Jong-il and the others, they had to sit there and know that America had plans to use what they call small-scale nuclear weapons on them for a long time, and had the advantage on them. That's why they started making their own.
Okay.
But, most people don't know that. They say, damn, they got artillery pieces over here with nuclear weapons, and they can wipe us out. If we don't get a counterattack on them, they are going to move on us and wipe us out.
So real quick, sir, I have one more comment. Would you say that the American, the powers to be here, like to keep us, and I'm just lumping all of us together in the public, in the dark about everything that they've done in the past, so that we don't really understand that it's not so much them, but it's been us, but they make it seem like he is the one that's bullying us, and that, we've done nothing. We're just, so innocent in all of our past and everything. Would you say they kind of keep that a little bit on the quiet side? Because I just don't hear any of that.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that's why we need,
Okay, sorry.
very excellent question. And that's why we are not going to get the truth or a fair story from CNN. You're not going to get it from MSNBC. You're not going to get it from Fox News. Because, like it or not, even though they don't like Trump, this corporate control media is bought and paid for by still corporate America, and it is hypocritical. And therefore, you can't get the truth other than alternative radio and shows like this. And that's why this show and others are so important.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Because at this, what the sad part about it is, even though you see Don Lemon and Wolf Blitzer seeming to be criticizing Donald Trump, and on MSNBC, Rachel Maddox or whatever, and all of them others, they seem to be hard on Trump. But what about, may I ask you, NBC and CNN, what about police brutality? What about these police cases that I know is going on across the country, and why you ain't covering that? Why I got to watch your coverage from morning to night, and you telling me Trump went to the bathroom, Trump went to the shower, Trump passed gas,
Diversion.
Trump put on his slippers. Here's another panel. Donald Trump scratched his testicles. What do you think, Bill? What are you doing, media? What are you doing, media?
Distraction, you think? $1. I think it's a distraction.
What are you doing, media? You've already researched it and all and figured out that Donald Trump is getting you the most advertising dollar per hour. So you said, forget the police brutality, forget the real news in America. We cutting all of that. We going to where the money at. So the media, really, on one hand, Donald Trump is right. The media is very dishonest and pardon my language, but they some hoes. Pardon my language, on the corporate level. They bought and paid for.
Bought and paid for.
And so you can't depend on them. You can't depend on them. You can't get an honest story out. God bless independent media.
Yes.
Right. So my question is, because I believe there's some truth to what Anonymous has said. He's in the news. He's made videos. He said, unlike past world wars, although there will be ground troops, the battle is likely to be fierce, brutal, and quick. It will also be globally devastating, both on environmental and economical levels. Do you agree or disagree with that, sir?
I would agree with that to the extent that nuclear weapons are used.
Oh, right,
In
right.
such conflict, there's a probability that nuclear weapons would be used. Well, for example, Kim Jong-un and his boys have stated that because I guess he was pissed off that Donald Trump had clowned him at the UN, you know.
Yeah, he did.
But they both got to get off. They both got to get off the TV screen and the Twitter. You know, so he said he gonna blow him up a hydrogen bomb over the Pacific, which is gonna release radioactive stuff all in the Pacific. And I'm finna say, I know he ain't that crazy. Now I know them boys wild, but I know he ain't that crazy. What are we saying? That if that happens, or if a nuclear attack happens, a few nuclear bombs or many nuclear bombs is going to affect the entire environment of the planet.
Yes, it
The
is.
entire environment of the planet is already on shaky ground due to global warming. Let us introduce into evidence the strength of the hurricanes and the weather pattern. Let us know that we have disrespected the environment, and Mother Nature is paying us back.
Yes.
Yes.
And we're paying a terrible price.
Amen.
Terrible
And
price.
if these weapons are released and this stuff is released into the atmosphere,
It's over.
then I mean, if man is that crazy and he wants to drive himself out of here, and if the white man is that crazy, well, he gonna drive us all out of here. Then we gotta make some critical decisions here. And one critical decision I must say on this program that we're gonna have to make is: are we willing to let Donald Trump take us all out?
Why isn't that the question,
Have we
right?
gone so low as a people? And I'm talking to the American public right now. Have you gone so low as a nation? And have we gone so low as a people that we will let a Donald Trump, the skunk of the planet Earth, we gonna let him take us all out, take our babies out,
Right.
take our future out,
Right.
and take our lives out?
Yes.
Or are we gonna get his ass? Are we gonna get his behind out of
We
there?
need to get his behind out of
Yes.
there.
I have my last question ready for him.
It wouldn't be this level of. I feel that North Korea would be more relaxed, or we could handle it better if
I
Mr.
bounce a
Obama
lot
was
off of what
dealing with
they
them
say,
and
too.
not Donald Trump.
It's bringing stuff out of me that
I
I
got
think
you.
about.
We get down to the question of whether we're gonna let this fool take us out or not.
I mean, that's excellent. Did you have something that JV? Someone said something so important.
We're facing a severe moral choice
tried.
for ourselves and the
NFL.
future of our babies.
All right.
Whenever
I ain't-
you want to touch.
I wasn't.
Okay.
Go ahead, JV. It's about the NFL. I
Well, he
wondered.
wants to touch it too.
Yeah, I know, but so much stuff. I got so much stuff. I got
You
Go
know,
ahead.
sir, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't think we have enough hours in this
In
evening
this
to
evening.
cover a lot of the stuff.
We tried to
As you
extend it.
speak, it brings up other questions in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a format that Millie works so hard on, and we can't even get to all of that because at the end of the day, what you just said about the environment being already critically, disrupted. And now we're talking about nuclear, I mean, just why don't we, go back to the fallout shelter days? Do we have any left, sir? Do you think there's
That is a
still
good
some
question.
somewhere
Do
that
we- where are they?
we can get in the fallout shelter and live out the rest of our
I agree.
our hours?
Amen. Amen, sir.
Not
Amen,
days,
ma'am.
but hours.
Amen, JV.
Well, let's get down. I mean, there are some practical questions. I mean, if you really want to get down to the nuts and bolts of this thing, I mean, one of the questions would be is that if a state of if war is declared and somehow or another, remember we talking about North Korea, but we still haven't answered the Russia question.
That's true. We didn't even answer that, did we?
And
Oh,
I'm
wow.
just saying. So if you're talking about being prepared for nuclear war, well, let us ask ourselves: if you see that climate building, if you see those signs building, and you have a few days to make your way to safer ground, where will you go? Because I don't think going in my basement in Washington, D.C. is going to work out.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I don't think so either.
I have a feeling I'm going to want to be away from Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
So You know, I mean, we have to begin drawing up evacuation plans and being serious about this thing is real.
Let me go back to that.
You know,
Scroll.
Wow, I actually have.
Them people in Harvey, people who was caught out there in Harvey and these other storms. I mean, for a minute they think, oh, it ain't gonna be that bad. Stuff come up on you, and the officials ain't prepared, and we looking crazy. You know, you be looking bad.
Well, sir, I have a couple of people on my Facebook Live, and one says that America has become a joke. That was one comment. Another person says they've already started an emergency kit. So people are definitely feeling what we're feeling. We actually have some notes. You want to read some of this stuff that Millie's come up with of quite a few things that people can do and begin to do to prepare for something in emergency. And you know what? Because of the hurricanes and the weather, I think a lot of this stuff is necessary
I agree.
anyway. You know,
I
we're
agree.
going to need it one way or another.
What are the few things that that we
why
were
don't
discussing? You go ahead. I mean,
Why don't
go
you-
ahead and
no,
start.
No, you go ahead. You don't need
Well,
your glasses like that.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk to you about Australia in a minute, sir. But there's just a couple of things. It's what to do before a nuclear blast. And these are the following things that the experts recommend you can do to protect yourself, your family, and your home, which answers the second part of the question that the person who sent us an email on, if you believe an attack is an imminent, is build an emergency supply kit. I believe you just said something like that, JV. It includes items like non-perishable foods, water, battery-powered or hand-crank radio. Do we still have hand-crank radios? Extra flashlights
Right
and
now, hold on. Are we talking about preparedness for a power outage, or nuclear war?
it says a nuclear blast. It says batteries. You may want to prepare a kit for your workplace and a portable kit to keep in your car in case you are told to evacuate. They
Yeah.
also want you to make a family emergency plan. Your family may not be together when disaster strikes, so it's important that you know how you will contact one another, how you will get back together, and what you will do in case of an emergency. I think that's hugely important.
Yes. Where you would
Find
meet.
out where you would meet. I would. Oh gosh, our family is so spread out.
Yeah.
And the third thing is find out from officials if any public buildings in your community have been designated as fallout shelters. Didn't we just discuss that? If none have been designated, make your own list of potential shelters. These places would include basements. See, we can go in your basement, sir, or the windowless central area of middle floors in high-rise buildings.
I actually was at St. Elizabeth.
Good luck.
Let's go there.
I was
Good
at
luck.
Sir, I was at St. Elizabeth a few weeks ago, and of course those buildings are basically closed now. But I saw a fallout shelter sign
You
on the
did?
building.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
And I was like, wow.
Southeast, we going to Southeast.
Yeah, but of
Amen.
course that was probably from the 40s and 50s. But I just think it's time to really revisit that idea.
Well, sir, there was a comment made. I'd like to know your brief answer or brief things about it. It says, it has been claimed that the Trump administration has also been working closely with the Australians, sending a rotational deployment of more than 1,000 U.S. troops to the country, along with a large fleet of military aircraft. So Australia is ultimately considered a strategic location in the Indian Ocean. What briefly do you have to say about that?
Well, we know that America's presence in Asia is predicated on its having military bases and capability in a variety of locations.